Hello, and welcome to Storytime Tarot Tales. The story of Aurelle, episode 3. Checking in with Aurelle first. She was leaving the observatory, in the last episode, with the unicorn. At this point, they're not riding. Aurelle's walking beside the unicorn as they depart. Let's find out. Yeah, I don't like that one. Beauty about this is I can omit certain cards, especially if it's not a destination. Uh-oh, I don't want to take all of that. What do we got? Oh, there's a bunch of crap there. No. We're not taking that. Oh. Huh. I'll take those two, happily. So, the unicorn and Aurelle are walking out of town. And as they're walking out of town, they come upon a wishing well. So at the wishing well, Aurelle has a few coins in her pocket, in her purse. So she decides to make a wish at the wishing well, that she might be able to speak with the unicorn, because this was, something that she was unable to do. But she noticed that there were people at the observatory that could actually speak with the unicorn. So her first point was to ask, "Oh, wishing well, please grant me the ability to speak to the unicorn, to communicate." There's a small twinkle of light. Presto changeo, Aurelle is able to speak with the unicorn. So she looks at the unicorn. She says, "What is your name?" In her mind, she could hear the voice, a voice. The unicorn, eyes opened wide up, and he realized, oh, I can talk to her now. Well, my name is Wyndahl. Hi, Wyndahl. I'm Aurelle. Aurelle? So they introduce each other, and they kind of get to know each other a little bit. They're fascinated that, the wishing well worked so well and so great. We have Isle of Amazons. In the discussion, Aurelle wanted to go to the Isle of Amazons. She had heard about it in books and in different stories that travelers had told when they'd passed through her village in the hidden mountain, or the hidden valley, excuse me. Wyndahl said to Aurelle, "Hey, I know exactly where that is. But in order to get there, you're going to have to ride." Aurelle was a little bit leery. She'd never ridden a unicorn. She'd ridden horses, and she'd, worked with donkeys and other things on the farm. But she'd never ridden a unicorn, so she was kind of sketched out about it. The unicorn had these great wings and was able to fly. She was heights were not her thing, let's just say that. She didn't like the cliffs. She didn't like climbing trees. She didn't like, heights were just not okay. Wyndahl nudged her toward his back, and so Aurelle reluctantly accepted, climbed up onto the top of the unicorn's back, and was able to get her feet in a comfortable spot where it wasn't obstructing the unicorn's wings. She was able to hold on to the unicorn's neck. So she secured her book, and the book on falling stars, if you remember. She climbed up onto the unicorn, and off they went to the Isle of Amazons. So our thief, who went back to the guild hall after witnessing the coven of witches, he got up in the morning. He decided that he was going to go visit his gold vault. Now, in order to get there, he had to go through the forest, across the windy flatland. He had a special place past the windy flatland where he kept his gold in the vault. It was a very safe location. He kept it very private. No one knew where it was. But he felt he needed to go get some money so that he was prepared for the journey that he was about to take. He knew he was going to be helping Aurelle, this stranger that the witches had spoken about in the garden. Now, one of the witches, Timpa was her name, was sent to obstruct Aurelle. But instead of directly going to Aurelle, she went to the sorcerer's coven. Now, as our thief is traveling through the forest, canary. A bright yellow canary passed his path. He was fascinated by this canary. It caught his attention. This bright yellow little bird that, flew out of nowhere and found intrigue in our thief. Maybe thought the thief might have a cracker or something to give to the canary. The thief was awestruck by it for a moment. The thief had a couple of biscuits in his knapsack, and so he broke off a little crumb, which he placed on a stump nearby. And the canary had a wonderful little meal. For whatever reason, the thief, even though he was a thief in the guild, he had a pure heart. He had a good heart, a caring heart, which showed in sharing a meal with the canary. The thief continued on through the forest without haphazard or without any other incident. Now, Timba, who also had to pass through the forest in order to reach the Sorcerer's Coven, which had a stronghold on the other side of the forest, away from the village. They were sorcerers. What they wanted to do was to stay safe and to stay hidden from the prying eyes of the townspeople. Moth. So a great many moths were stirred up in the forest as she passed through and walked toward the Sorcerer's Coven. Now, when she reached the Sorcerer's Coven, she knew that the sorcerers had many strange and fantastic animals. We have elephant here. As she was approaching the Sorcerer's Coven, she heard the mighty blow of an elephant trumpeting as the caretakers were trying to get him to perform some trick or something. Timba paid no mind to it. It was part of the training of the animal, none of her concern. But still, it was a fantastic animal from far, far away, across the distant waters and the ocean. But here it was, and so, even fascinated, she had her business to attend to, so off to go and speak with the sorcerers of the castle of the coven. Oh. Uh-oh. Well, she was taking action. She was going toward the sorcerers. She was hungry. However, she accepted the fact that she had to continue with what she was doing. And as she approached the sorcerers, she was overcome with great fear. Very fearful. She had never ventured out to speak to the sorcerers on her own. There was this man, this masculine man, that his strength and his pale skin and just the way he looked, it enhanced Timba's fear in the situation. So she was very, very timid. She went up to him and asked him, "Sir, may I speak with you?" "What do you want?" replied the sorcerer. "Why are you here?" She couldn't really explain. She was so awestruck by the fear and by the abruptness and the brashness of the man. "Sir, I come from the witch's coven. I've come to seek your help and your assistance. There's a girl who's venturing out. We fear her. We fear her power and what she might do. She came out of nowhere and she went to the observatory immediately, and we don't understand, why. So we're fearful. We've come, at least I have come to ask for your help in this situation." The man, annoyed at this point by this lowly witch, "Be gone from my presence. I cannot deal with this right now. You'll have to talk to someone else." And so Timba was dismissed from him. So Timba wandered around the sorcerer's coven, their temple building, in search of some food. She was hungry. And even though she was a lowly witch, she knew that the sorcerer's coven would care for her and at the very least feed her, as she was a traveler. Ooh, hey, maybe that one's good. Violet fire. So, Timba was off, hungry, looking for some food, which was a distraction. Somehow, I get the feeling this distraction came from our elementals. If you remember from episode 2, the elementals in the oak grove that mysteriously popped up out of the Arctic Iceland. Somehow I believe that they had concocted this distraction for Timba to be kind of lost for a moment. And so we return to Aurelle and our unicorn. possibility. So our unicorn and Aurelle flying low and slow. Wyndahl had already had a feeling that Aurelle was apprehensive. She was scared of flying. And so Wyndahl, knowing this, took great care in flying toward the Isle of Amazons. Upon arrival, the Amazons surrounded the unicorn. And Aurelle stepped off and climbed down. And they landed, happy to be not flying. She was kneeling on the ground, ready to kiss it and to praise God for keeping her safe across the ocean, and praising Wyndahl for his ability in flying and getting her there safe and not scaring her, and very grateful that she'd made the journey without any incident. The Amazons surrounded them and was all curious about what possibility was coming to them. Aurelle, at this point, after her long trip across the sea with Wyndahl, was hungry. So she asked if there was a possibility of some food and some rest for a little while. Kind of frazzled from flying. And so the Amazons went off and prepared a small feast. They were hungry as well, so they were preparing this, and they also prepared a wonderful meal for Wyndahl so that, you know, they would all eat. It was all good. Life was grand at this moment. And they were all curious as to why, you know, Aurelle and this unicorn had shown up, and Aurelle had just explained to them that, you know, I heard about stories about the Amazons and their great strength and their ability to fight. And I wanted to visit the Amazons because I also had learned that it was all women that were here on the island. And the Amazons all agreed, you know, hey, yeah, there's no men over here. I mean, not that we don't like men, but, you know, it's the way this isle is. And, you know, men do visit, but they don't stay long. We don't really have children, so there's not many boys running around. And so they became friends through this meal, through this process. I'm going to leave it right here for now before it gets too long. Sometimes it takes me a long time to process video, so I apologize for that. My laptop's kind of slow. The camera isn't the greatest as far as transfer. So I'm going to stop there right here at this point with Aurelle making it to the feast with the Amazons. Again, we've got something going on with some distraction and timba over here at the Sorcerer's Coven. And we have our thief still making his way to the Gold Vault. I'm going to leave it right there for now. Thanks for joining me. This is Storytime Tarot Tales. The Story of Aurelle, Episode 3. Please like, subscribe, share. Share it with somebody if the story is interesting to you. If the premise of what I'm doing is interesting to you, definitely give me a like, a thumbs up, and thank you guys for watching and following the story this far. It's just getting started, so I'm probably going to start breaking up the episodes into a separate episode for the people individually. So Aurelle and the unicorn obviously will have an episode, and Thief, because he's on a different journey, is going to have an episode, and the witches and their chaos is going to have an episode, and then eventually I'll bring in the elementals and we'll get to know the elementals a little bit better. But for now, Aurelle is hanging out with the Amazons. Our thief is heading toward his gold vault. Timba, one of our witches, is hanging with the Sorcerer's Coven, being intimidated by this masculine person. Again, I thank you. Give me a like, and I'll see you on the next one, guys. Thanks.